Happy Football Friday. Happy Halloween. This should be a great one for all you goblins out there.
I want to go as
careful.
a fired football coach, so I have a big payout coming to me.
$50 million in your little basket.
I'll
of
even take
goodies.
some of the $20 million buyouts. You know, like Billy Napier or whatever. I'll take that. I'm okay with that.
I just wish that I was so bad at my job that somebody would pay me money, any kind of money, not to do it anymore.
Yeah, eight
Like-
figures to go away.
Yeah. Like, no, Rick. It's okay. We don't like you as a beat writer, but we're going to pay you not to be a beat writer. We're going to give you money to not work. We don't want to see your work anywhere. Okay. Man, sign me up for that. It's just incredible. You know what's happening in college football, though? And this is undeniable. Buyouts be damned, right? The players now have control in college football.
Yep.
They never did before. They do now. And that is why you're seeing so many changes in the coaching ranks. It has become NFL-like. It's like, well, it can't be the players. You got to change the coach. I mean, geez, we got all these players. What are we doing?
We're already paying the players, so now we got to find a coach.
Yeah, we're paying the players. Now we got to go find a guy that can lead them. And, you know, you can't fire the whole – the other thing is that you want to keep your good players, and so you got to make them happy and make them whole first, and then go about finding your coach that's acceptable to everybody. But yeah, I think, you know, whether it's Brian Kelly or, you know, all these coaches that have been axed that Lane Kiffin's going to take their jobs, that's a big part of it. You know, It's a big damn part of it. So I think the players with the NIL deals and all this, they're going to stay where they get paid. And if it doesn't work, those universities don't want to lose those players, and so they got to find a coach that'll keep their roster mostly intact if it can.
Yep. Well, speaking of college football, big weekend this weekend. There's actually, I think, 3 or 4 top 20 matchups.
Oh wow!
I think Vanderbilt at Texas is a top 20 matchup, 25 matchup.
Freaking Vanderbilt! What are we? I mean, are we for real here?
Vanderbilt, Indiana. I mean,
what has happened, man? Basketball schools, dominant dogs and cats living together.
Yeah,
it just seems weird. College Game Day was there last week, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't right. Like, come on, man.
Still should have been at USF Memphis, but
absolutely.
Yeah, Oklahoma, Tennessee is this weekend. Cincinnati, Utah, all top 25 matchups.
Those are good matchups.
Yeah,
Oklahoma, Tennessee would be good.
Yep. Then you got Florida, Georgia.
Oh yeah, the big cocktail party in Jacksonville.
Yeah, Billy Gonzalez making his interim debut.
It's going to be big. God help him if he wins, then he'll become an instant candidate. Everybody will be screaming to get him to hire. But these are tough days in Gainesville. Anywhere that they fired the head coach. Right now, all last week, the coaching staff was trying to find their next job. And so I don't know how good these game plans are going to be.
That's the whole thing. Normally during a bye week, you're out recruiting.
That's true. Yeah.
That's not what those coaches would have been doing last week because they're probably not there.
They're not there. Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's tough. But those are good matchups, and it's always great in college football. Especially now we're getting, and I don't want to jinx it, a little bit of cold front coming through. My God.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean,
I saw 40s, man, in my neck of the woods up here in Greater Lutz.
Yeah, I think this week, is it Sunday or Monday? Like, yeah, it's going to get cooler.
Yeah. It's so cool. Like, this is the only thing that I live for. When I tell you I live for it, I mean I live for it, dude.
I know my son has a soccer game Saturday afternoon. It's supposed to be like 72. It's 71 at the time. Like, perfect.
Just sit there all day, man. Just sit there all day. Suck that in. We've just been tortured, man. So badly. But, yeah.
But yeah, you got Florida, Georgia this weekend. You have Florida State hosts Wake Forest.
Yeah.
USF is off this week. They'll play Thursday night next week. So,
yeah, I'm still disappointed for them. I think they had such a golden opportunity that they let get away, and it's going to cost them a ton of money as an athletic program.
If they win out, I think they're okay still.
If they win out, regardless of what other teams do, are they in the championship game and can get there? I
believe so, because I mean, they would give a loss to Navy for sure, who's the only undefeated team I believe in the American.
Yeah, and Memphis has a loss and so on, and so it'd probably be them and Memphis playing in the championship, I would imagine.
I
if
would
that
think that's a
comes to pass.
possibility. There might be a couple other teams in there. North Texas and Temple also have one loss, and
And
Tulane's
North
actually still
Test.
undefeated as well. So
Who Tulane is, yeah. So there's a lot of undefeated teams.
they're not. If they win out, they're not guaranteed. Well, Navy would have one loss, so they would be in a tie for second in the American at worst case if they win out.
So it still would make the playoffs, right?
I don't know. A tie for second. I don't know.
Well,
what
the conference.
tiebreaker
What they
is.
want to do is try to get into the conference championship.
Well, you have to win the championship to get that automatic bid.
Right. So if you can just get there and then roll your dice against anybody you've already played.
Yep. Yeah, you probably need a little help, and I don't know the tiebreakers, but if you beat Navy, I mean it's possible. I don't know who all these teams play, but Navy, Memphis, North Texas, South Florida, and Temple, and East Carolina could all be tied with one loss. But I'm sure some of those teams play each other, so it's probably not going to work out that way.
No, it won't.
And someone will lose a game you're not supposed to lose, etc. So
right.
But if they can make the championship, if they win out and can make the championship game and win it, I still think they're probably the team that goes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's their path. And not for nothing, but we're talking about significant millions of dollars for that program.
Oh, no question.
It's a big deal. Golish not winning that game the other day could potentially be a huge
I don't know.
deal.
I don't know what the rev share between the conferences.
Right.
I know, when the Big Ten team makes it, that team doesn't keep that $20 million or whatever it is. It actually goes to the conference.
They split it with the conference. Yeah.
Yeah, but even if that's the case, just having an American team in the playoff is big money for all the schools. Then at that point,
yep.
Last year, Boise State was the non-Power 4 team that went, so not in the American. So those teams don't get to split that money.
Right. No, it'd be huge, and they could have had a little simpler path, but they'll have to figure their own out. So, all right, we got mailbag questions coming up here in just a second. But first, friends, get on down to Breitling Boutique. What are you waiting for? We've been talking about these folks. Where are they? You know where they are. International Plaza Mall. Where you go when you get there? Second floor, center of the mall. You've been there before. Take the escalator up. It's Breitling Boutique. You're going to recognize right away. Hey, these people are different, man. They treat me great. The customer service is second to none. A lot of pro athletes go in there and buy their best timepiece. We're talking about Swiss watches now. The Breitling Company's been in business for 140-something years. They've been in International Plaza for more than 5. And you want to go in and find out about their men's watches, the Navitimers, the Chronomat watches they're known for, ladies' watches. These are sports watches. They're durable. They're beautiful. And she gets to choose from an array of colored wristbands as well. And then again, while supplies last, 32 NFL teams, there are 32 team watches. These things are stunningly beautiful. They got the team's color on the face of the watch. They got the logo, you name it. It is great to have and, put it in your collection as well. It's Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. And when you go, make sure you let them know that you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. All right, we got some mailbag questions. Let's get going.
All right, JJ asks, with Todd Bowles giving the team the week off, if Jason Light makes a trade, wouldn't it make sense to bring the player in when the team gets back from the bye? Love the show. Keep up the good work, guys.
Well, the trade deadline isn't actually until after they get back from the bye. So
next Tuesday, correct?
Yeah, it's Tuesday at 4:00 is the deadline. So that doesn't mean you can't do a deal before that. That's just the last time you can do one. And a lot of times those deals go up to the wire just because, well, that's, get your best trade compensation right before deadline. But they could trade for people now. There are teams trading now for various prospects and players. So that's available to them. I just think that you'll see deals made next Tuesday right before 4:00, but there won't be this onslaught of and another deal. It's not going to be like free agency. It's going to be like a drip.
It's not like hockey or basketball. Where
no,
even baseball. There's a ton of trades.
Yeah, there might be a handful, if that, and that might even be strange. Like guys are just not making themselves available, and the ones that are making them available are asking for too damn much compensation, and so consequently, you don't get a lot of trades, which I think is unfortunate because I think you want to encourage that. That's probably a good thing for fans, for teams, all that. but it doesn't feel like the Bucs are going to do anything but sit tight. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but I don't think you're going to see a whole bunch of them, and
Mm-hmm.
we've seen some so far, but it's going to be drip, drip. It's not going to be like, oh, wow, TJ Watt's coming to, Tampa Bay. Like, it's just, there'll be some names, but they won't be giant names. It won't be household names. I don't believe that could change, but I think that's the way it's going to go.
All right, John had tweeted. He says, at the midseason point, whose performance on the Bucs has surprised you guys the most this season? Aside from special teams, who's been the most disappointing? Have any upcoming free agents helped their case about the Bucs retaining them?
Surprised, I would say Jacob Parrish. He was the second corner that they took. Obviously, they took Benjamin Morrison and ahead of him in the second round out of Notre Dame, and Morrison was coming off an injury. And all Parrish did was come in here, keep his nose down, and become that dude. Make plays all over the field, and he can play inside, he can play outside, he can rush the passer. He's got a couple sacks. There's just a lot that he can do, and no one, I think, really perceived this. And I think Benjamin Morrison's going to be really, really good too if he can stay healthy. He can get on the field and stay healthy. Hamstring was a problem with him. So I like him. You got somebody different that you think is surprising?
I'll say I have two guys just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Jamel Dean.
Absolutely.
How well he's played.
Career year, yeah.
Yep. And part of it may be the contract year and he's making less, but trying to cash in big. But he's been really good, better than we've seen him in years past.
Yep, absolutely.
And kind of out of necessity, and maybe you didn't expect him to play much, but Tez Johnson.
Tez Johnson's a great one. He'd be right up there, I think, probably at the top because Tez for the first 2 weeks didn't even get a helmet. I mean, this dude was inactive, right?
Well, and you probably expected that for most of the season anyway, if your receiver stayed healthy. But
but he was behind Cameron Johnson, who was just returning kicks.
Yep,
and gets his chance and then is prepared. And they said, if you talk to his teammates, they're like, look, he wasn't necessarily on our roster. He was on practice squad, but man, this guy, he attacked it every single day. And I think the coaches saw that and they saw him improve, and so they felt confident when they turned to him. But those are great ones. Those are really great ones. Tez has been a huge surprise, and I'm not sure where they're at without him. And he's one injury away from being your number one receiver, which would not be good. But that's how well he's played and brought guys with him. So, yeah, I like that. I like Tez.
What about disappointing?
Disappointing. I go back to discouraged. That's a Lovie Smith reference. Disappointing.
I have one that's pretty obvious, and Servassier Dennis.
Well, I think Dennis, because of his lack of coverage skills, has been bad. Yeah, he's been.
I didn't expect him to be a Pro Bowler or anything. I mean,
no.
Also, he hasn't played much.
But serviceable would be nice.
Yeah, it just the way everyone had talked about him for years. Like you expected more consistency than what we've seen this year.
Absolutely. And it's in one area. It's in coverage. It's just not able to get guys on the ground. Takes bad angles. Third play of the season, Bijan Robinson everybody's taking it to the house. You can't let guys house a swing pass in this league. Jahmyr Gibbs, it's been bad. Some would say, although I'm not really necessarily in this camp, but some might say Hassan Reddick. Who's sitting here with 1.5 sacks.
Yeah, I mean, I also wonder how much double teams he's getting where he's opened up for other guys.
Oh, a ton. Oh, they're shading to his side. There's no question.
He makes Yaya Diaby better.
He's made Yaya lead the team in sacks with 4.5.
Yeah, and so I don't. Stat wise, yes, disappointing for sure. I don't know if his play has been though.
But he's had an impact, which some guys, you can't claim that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean. Look, their center, their guard spot is a revolving door. It is what it is. I don't think Graham Barton's played his best football yet.
Well, let's not forget he also played left tackle for a few weeks.
They put him at left tackle. They put him back at center. They put him with 5 different guards next to him. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. There's just no continuity there.
Yeah, I mean, the whole offensive line has probably been a little disappointing, but it's the injuries to it. It's not necessarily play.
Right.
I mean, you still don't have Luke Gedeke back. Your right guard's gone. Your left,
Yeah.
your left side of the line was a mismatch the first few weeks, and then
Well, as far as great performances, I mean, don't you have to go Baker?
no, I think he's been phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
Take out the last week or two
With the
where
four
it wasn't the
comebacks
same.
and,
No, no
all
question
that.
about it. Chase McLaughlin's been great after the first 2 weeks, which those were a little iffy, but he's turned that around. I think Tyke Smith's been really good at safety.
There's not a lot of really bad performance. I mean, there's been some that have been somewhat underwhelming, but
I don't know if Antoine Winfield Jr. has been as impactful as you hoped
until this last game.
Yeah, I mean, last game he definitely was, but I'm not saying he was bad. Just we were so used to last year was standing with the injuries, but before that, like you noticed him all the time. Like he was impactful every game, and
he was incredible. He showed up on every stat line, every one of them.
Yep.
His routine game was almost what Anthony Nelson did last week, and nothing for nothing, but Winfield could have had 2 touchdowns last week if not for an inadvertent whistle and maybe not a great call. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But he was all over that football. It was great.
Yeah, he got robbed on that one.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't know what. I mean, you go back.
Nobody can play it back and hear it, and
there's no whistles. I mean, if someone thought there was, then I don't know, but
that was a tough one. But he's playing well. Like if he does this, what he did, to Detroit the rest of the season, man, the Bucs are going to be just fine.
Oh yes,
because he can wreck some teams, and I think it's good to have Tyke in the back end because he's been doing some nice things, and that gives Winfield some confidence. So it's all working hand in hand. And even though these guys will be tired, they're starting to figure out how to play in the NFL. So there'll be some some positives.
And the other disappointing one, and it's gotten better, but Riley Dixon.
Yeah, got a little bit better. You're right. The block kicks was a real big story early on, and we focused on the offensive line and probably should have focused more on Dixon.
And out kicking his coverage.
And then, out kicking his coverage, right?
There was a lot of that. It's gotten better. The first few weeks of the season were really bad. It's gotten better, but.
Yeah, his net's starting to come up. He's starting to get a lot of fair catches and stuff like that, which you want to do. Kick it high enough.
Yep.
And not just drive everything, but, minimize the damage. Because you just, you had to punt.
Yep.
Those are good ones. Yeah, I don't disagree with any of them, and I like what you said about Tez. I think that's a great choice.
Timster had sent us a note. It says,
Timster,
how do you think Jason Light is approaching the likelihood that the Bucs will need to find their heir apparent to Lavonte David, the trade deadline, free agency, or through next year's draft? Keep being awesome, and thanks for the good work that you do.
Yeah, well, they can bring on his heir apparent anytime they want to because they're kind of not doing well at the linebacker position. And I'm not suggesting you bench Lavonte David per se because I still think he has forgotten more football than a lot of these guys. But you're gonna need some help. And it's not been good.
The trade deadline is probably not where you're getting his heir apparent.
No, I think you're probably going to draft him, but it's not. It's also not impossible.
No.
You'd have to identify the right guy, and there are some guys that maybe you could wrestle away.
Well, it's hard to identify the right guy when he's the guy whose picture's on the wall saying, "Here's a Buccaneer."
No, I know. Yeah, no, I know.
And it's a compliment to Lavonte, like everything about him, the way he works, the way he's in the community,
It's not, but it's not even like Lavonte. Like I mean, we talked about Dennis a minute ago, but like, okay, so Miami has a linebacker, Jordan Brooks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he could help you right now because your backup linebackers are kind of old, I say. I mean, David is. This is probably his last year. He's going to turn 36 in January. 36. Dennis has not played very well. Deion Jones is 32, right? So there's a lot of guys with playing experience that just haven't played very much of late, And then you go down and you say, well, what could they do? Well, how about Miami? How about looking down at the Dolphins and Jordan Brooks? First-round pick by Seattle in 2020. runs a 4.5 40, faster than Lavonte, faster than Dennis, who ran like 4.64. And, he's very capable in coverage. He's capable as a run guy. He had a career high 184 tackles in 2021, just last year. And he had a 143 in his first year with Miami, to go with 3 sacks and 2 fumble recoveries. So that's a playmaker. Like, to me, if you could get a playmaking Mike linebacker, go do it. Just go do it. So there's guys out there. I don't know. It takes 2 to tango. The problem is when you pick up the phone, you're kind of dismissing your guy a little bit, but then you better bring that home. You better be able to bring it home. And I just feel like Jason values his draft picks a ton. Always feels like he's getting ripped off, and is just never going to pull the trigger, man. Not since Tom Brady left, anyway. If the GOAT were still here, then the GOAT would pull the trigger, I suppose. Jason used to hate that when people would say, but oh well, Tom's picking the players, and he used to hate that so bad. It wasn't true.
He may have hated it, but
there was some truth to it. Yeah, there was some. I mean, he did go in there and hey, I need Antonio Brown.
Maybe Tom's not picking the players, but Jason's not signing or getting any players
True.
that Tom doesn't approve of.
That's true. Yeah, he wasn't force feeding them. We know that. I just, not sure why they don't do it with Baker, but that's another story.
All right, Matt asks, do you see Mike Evans possibly retiring after this year?
I would have said that he was going to, and he's talked about it. He talked to me about it before the season began, earnestly. And at that time, it was like, I could just walk away. And I didn't really sense that he was that sincere. And he was talking about playing 2 more years the longer our conversation went. The great ones rarely know when to leave and exactly how to bow out gracefully. But now that he got hurt and his streak is over, etc., you could see him saying, screw it, I'm not putting myself through this again. Like, just go be a father, a husband, all that. But I think Mike's one of these guys that wants to go out on his terms, And before the season, I would have said this is his last year. Now that he's become injured, I would say, no, he's going to go through next year too. That's just the way I feel.
All right, Steve had emailed, actually. Says, I've been listening daily for a couple of years now from Hertfordshire in the UK. Your show is great. Thanks so much for all your insight, comments, and humor, too.
Yeah, it is.
I'm curious how you think the NFL can ensure consistency in officiating during a game and in addressing poor decisions afterwards. The Bucs and Giants suffered from very bad calls on fumble recoveries this past weekend, and the Bucs had to endure bizarre decision-making processes against the Lions. I realize every team gets favorable calls and detrimental calls, but do you think anything can be done to bring a better level of consistency to officiating going forward?
Well, I think transparency would help, and unfortunately, the league, every year or after every game, actually, teams submit a certain number of plays to the league office for review and say, I think you screwed this up. Like, this was not right. This one didn't work. What are they seeing here? And every team does it, and they usually get a response back, and sometimes it'll be, yep, you're right. Bad call. Should have been yada, yada, yada. And that makes you feel really bad. That makes you feel awful if you've lost a game as a result of that. So what they do is they review it. You're unable to talk about it. Like Todd Bowles can't get up there and I go, Mr. Bowles, did you get an explanation? And we do ask this question. Would you get an explanation for the league on that whole 1 second thing? Yeah, it's tough, man. Lost my train of thought. Hold on a second.
The job of officiating has gotten a lot harder, and it's because everything is in HD. Everything can be slowed down. You can see, the grass blades move when a ball touches it.
Yeah.
Where, years ago that never happened. Like, the technology wasn't as good as it is. So it's like to be an official in real time is a lot harder than it's ever been. In any sport, doesn't matter what it is, because every play is scrutinized to the millisecond
degree.
to the frame. Mm-hmm. And the picture is so good right now. It's almost taken some of the fun out of the sport too. Like big plays happen and you go, yay! Oh wait, are they challenging? Is it going to stand? Do I cheer? I don't know. That's always been my beef with replay and things like that. Now is like you cheer and then you wait. Was it actually a catch? Was it actually a goal? Did this actually happen? Was there actually a penalty?
Adds a lot of tension.
Yeah.
You gotta wait for the review.
But as far I think transparency is the best thing they can do for things.
Well, there's one other thing, and I don't know why they don't do it. Why not have full-time officials? They're the only sports league, like Major League Baseball does. I know they play a lot of games, but like, can you
baseball,
not
you
just
couldn't really have another job and do baseball. I mean, it's 6 months a year every
because it's
day.
160. I know that like this allows them to do it because the schedule they're playing on the weekends, whatever. But why not just say we're going to pay the money? This league has so many billions of dollars. Like we're going to pay the money and get the best guys and train them, and all this stuff, and just like they're ours. They're going to do the games. We're gonna we can grade them, we can do whatever, but they're going to be every day with us. Like we're going to make these guys the best in the world.
But here's my question. If I don't disagree with you, but if you make NFL officials full time, are you all of a sudden getting better officials? Like these are the best of the best already.
Well, but I know they're the best of the best, but during the week,
they are paid well. I mean, could they be paid better?
But
sure,
during
absolutely.
the week they're running insurance companies and they got other jobs, and whereas if you're a full time guy, you're devoting your 40 hours or 50 hours to one thing, which is becoming a better official. And I just think that it's not like some of these guys are all bad. They're not all bad. I mean, you might have
most of the calls are correct. Most of them are.
Yeah, for the most part. But every year, I'm telling you, I hear this. If I hear this once, I've heard it every year I've ever done football. Is like, is it me or is the officiating just the worst it's ever been this year? It's like, no, it's you. But it seems incongruent to complain about officials and not have full-time officials, right? And I know they only play once a week, but really, you can't tell me the expense is what's stopping them. Although I think it's the expense that's what's stopping them. I don't know why they don't do it. Why they just don't take that step. That would be to me that would be a good step. And then if you screw up, you're out. You still do that now, but
but then who's going to give up their full-time job to go do that job and maybe get fired next year because
it might not be anybody that's currently that's any good that's an official, right. And that would hurt you. But I think, and it may take time to develop, but I think in short order you'd get people that would be like, hell yeah, I'll learn how to call the plays. Put me in a simulator. See what I missed. I don't know. But I've always been a sort of not on the table, but I've always been like, hey, you guys make so much money and you can't have full-time officials. It just seems weird to me.
All right, Chuck in West Palm Beach sent a note. It says, at what point do we consider Raymond James Stadium too old? There are 10 other stadiums that are older. Ironically, Hard Rock Stadium is older but renovated and completely different than Joe Robbie Stadium. Tampa needs to upgrade to keep attracting major events.
Well, here comes the synergy of major events and stadiums. They rolled it out January 2029. College football national championship game will be played right here at Raymond James Stadium. So I don't know what they promised in terms of renovations by then.
I believe there was renovations promised. I don't know what, but
right. They usually have a list of sort of wish list of we want you to do this, do this, do this, and
But the Bucs lease is also coming up, and they're not going to re-sign without renovations coming as well. So
no, and they're going to ask for, this is my guess and my estimation is they're going to ask for $1 billion with a B.
Yep,
$1 billion from whether it comes from county, city, state, you name it, because they're going to keep the stadium where it is first and foremost, but they're going to gut it, and the stadium has what they call good bones, where they can do some things and adjust it, and make it, modernize it, and it'll be fine. But 30 years, man, these stadiums have a lifeblood of about 30 years, and that's it. It's incredible how quickly some of these that I think of being new stadiums are now as old as any in the league. So Raymond James will be renovated. There'll be some climate control or an attempt to have climate control. Won't necessarily be fans or anything, but maybe some awning type situation like you have in Miami. But they have to do something, man, to get to 22nd surgery they have to do something to get to 22nd surgery. Listen, what am I trying to say? What century is this?
21st.
21st. There you go. They have to do something to get into the 21st century because there's still some things that are archaic about it. But I digress. Plenty of ideas, plenty of things that they can do to modernize it.
All right, we'll switch gears for a second here. And John asked, the Lightning appear to be nearing the point in this era of the team where they're no longer serious contenders. It's been a slow descent from the top, but they've still got a good, capable core. In light of the competition, do you believe they've got another cup run left in them?
I'll let you get your opinion on this, Steve. I don't think they do with this current group. I don't know why I feel that way, because they still have, Kucherov is still one of the best players in the world. The goaltender is one of the best players in the world. You can just start right there, right, when you have goaltending. So you should always have a chance. It just feels to me like the core of this team got old fast, and they didn't. They've been together a long time.
So I disagree.
Okay. Tell me why.
And here's why. So last year, the team was number 1 in goals scored, number 4 in defense, 5 in power play, 6 in penalty kill. You don't get those numbers. There's very few teams in history have numbers that good. They're not as old as you think they are. Like Kucherov's 31, Vazzy's 29, 30. I mean, they're getting up there. Like, another 3-4 years, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The depth on this team is better than it was last year. And that was a team that did very well last year. The last 2 years, they ran into the Stanley Cup champion in the first round. Okay. I mean, that's who they lost to. Florida's a really, really good team. And to be honest, a lot of people said, particularly the Canadian analysts who watch a lot more hockey than most people here in the U.S., the winner of the Florida-Tampa Bay series is going to go to the Stanley Cup. Well, Florida won it last year. They're a really good team. I think the Lightning, I think they're, like I said, they're deeper now. Look at their top 5 forwards. Put them against any in the NHL. Cooch, Gensel, Point, Hagel, Cirelli. Put them against any other 5 in the NHL. You want to put Nick Paul on the top line. Holmberg, Gord, Gergensons is playing really well. Like their depth right now on their bottom 6 is as best it's been in 5 years on this team. Defensively, they're still figuring it out, and that's the weak spot on this team still, although J.J. Moser's playing really well. I still think they've had some breakdowns defensively that we've seen the last few years, and that worries me a little bit. As long as Andre Vasilevsky's healthy, I don't think they're a cup run is out of the question. Now, only one team a year gets to raise the Stanley Cup, and they're still in the same division as Florida, who's really, really good. So there's no guarantee you get out of the division. There's no guarantee that, the odds are you could play them again in the first round. And
why? Let me ask you this question: why does the NHL do that?
They like to create rivalries.
Yeah, man, but
the playoffs are where rivalries are created, and so they want division foes in the first round. Not everyone agrees, but that's what Gary Bettman likes.
I'll tell you why I don't agree with it, because you're not getting the best teams as you get deeper into the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you should have seeding here of some kind.
Agreed.
Of some nature.
Yep. Now, 2 years ago, I believe the seeding worked out. Actually, everyone's like, "Oh, you got to seed it 1 through 8." Actually, it ended up correct. Last year it would have been different. Lightning would not have played Florida last year. I think they might have played Ottawa or somebody. I forget who it was, but
well, you could work harder and get the top seed and try to avoid them until you get to the finals, I guess.
This Lightning team is definitely better than the 1, 2, and 3 years ago that had major defensive issues. Once they traded Ryan McDonough, like the defense had issues.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, their defense got a lot better. I still think they had some leaky times. They give up too many rushes. Like they'll play really good defense for a while, and then they'll give up a couple rushes. And it seems like a lot of times they end up in the back of their net. That's a problem. I think, what a lot of fans want to see is this team get grittier. And I think, like Pontus Holmberg is a guy who's tough. He's not going to fight, but now you got Curtis Douglas on the roster. You got Scott Sabrin, who fought Aaron Ekblad, or, It just got suspended 4 games in the last preseason game. They have some guys that I don't think the window's closed on this team. I think there's a couple years left of it, but they need some things to go their way, health-wise particularly. Last year I think if Oliver Bjorkstrand's in that playoff series, I don't know if it turns the tide in the series, but the Lightning were missing a right-hand shot on the power play, and they were missing some third-line forward depth. And when Bjorkstrand got hurt, right, the game or two before the end of the regular season, that that hurt their depth big time. And that's what Brad Marchand brought to Florida, playing on the third line last year. And it was the third line that beat
Such a good trade for them.
Oh, no question about it. And they brought back basically everybody. Now, Barkov's hurt for most of the year. Kachuk's out for a while. They've got some injuries in that, and we'll see how they do this season. I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs, but I wouldn't count the Lightning out yet. I can tell you going into the season, most of the prognosticators and the hockey experts had the Lightning winning the division.
Wow.
I mean, more often than not, it was the Lightning winning the division that people picked. Because I would say this team is better than it was last year. If they stay healthy, and they were pretty healthy last year until the Bjorkstrand injury at the end. If they stay healthy, this team's better than last year's team. Now, at some point, is Ryan McDonagh going to slow down? Is Victor Hedman going to slow down? They are getting at that age where at some point, Father Time catches up.
Yeah, it's undefeated.
So we'll see when they get there. But that's where, the J.J. Mosers, he's playing unbelievable this year. And he talked about, last year was his first chance to play in a playoff game.
Wow.
He was in Arizona for a couple of years and just said, wow. Like, I knew it was intense and the level of play ramps up, but I had no idea how much. And he trained all offseason to be better at that and to approach things differently, right?
You know what's weird is how many games they've lost at home in the postseason.
It's incredible. a lot of overtime losses at home. Like,
yeah, but still losses, right? Like they're on a streak right now, I believe.
Well, and even how many overtime losses
oh God.
Like, if you remember when they won the cup in the bubble in 2020, they were like 8-1 in the postseason in overtime. And they played 200 some. Of course, they had a 5 overtime game they won, but
right.
It was incredible. And then since then, it's been like they can't win an overtime game in the playoffs.
They can't. It's over fast. It's like boom, boom, we're done.
Yeah, and it's been it's and to be honest, overtime games are it's a 50-50 crapshoot. One bad bounce and the game can end. I mean,
it is.
In Colorado, they dominated that overtime in what was a game? Was it 5?
Mm-hmm.
And they dominated the overtime.
Made one mistake.
And then, with a few minutes left in the first overtime period, one mistake, and boom, it was in their net.
Yeah. That's kind of how they live.
So I don't, like I said, are they the best team in hockey? I don't think so. But, we know the best team doesn't always win. There's a lot of things that have to go into from health and who you play and when you play and et cetera. But I think they're a really good. I think they're a better team than last year. They, last year they ran into Florida in the first round. And to be honest, if you watched the series last year and all the series that Florida played, the Lightning were probably the toughest out for them. I know it was only 5 games, but every game was a 1-goal game in the third period.
It was a 1-goal game in the final period, and some of them just got ridiculous. At the end. Yeah. Team scoring 2 goals in 19 seconds. And that kind of thing.
One that the puck goes through Ryan McDonagh's skate.
Yeah, right.
Into the net. Like
ever tried.
No. I mean, and hey, Florida shot the puck and got a bounce. I mean, that's what you do.
They did shoot it a lot, yeah.
But I don't think the window's closed, but I think they need things to go well.
Yeah.
They need to stay healthy. I think this team's deeper than they've been. There's some good youth on this team
they got enough young guys. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I really like this Dominic James.
Yeah.
He could fly up and down the ice, and he's gonna hit some rough patches this year. He's a rookie in this, but you like that addition. Connor Geeky's down in Syracuse right now, going to get a lot of first team reps, like to make him a better player.
I mean, look, their organization's great, and I don't think they'd keep guys beyond their prime, but I just having to beat Florida every year And then, for years and years, Florida had to beat Tampa Bay. They had a good team too.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't get over the hump. So,
and here's the other thing: the salary cap in hockey is going up significantly. It did this year; it's going to go up again next year and the year after. The Lightning
good.
The only expiring contracts the Lightning have for next year is McDonough.
That's great. Wow.
And there's Bjorkstrand.
Bjorkstrand, yeah.
There's the only two that everybody else is still under contract another year. As the cap goes up, all those deals look even. Kucherov's up in 2 years, so they're going to have to re-sign him, and that's going to go up significantly. But they've got room to add next year too.
That'd be key.
As they're approaching next season and year out, they're going to have room to add players, which they haven't had for 5-6 years because they won a cup during a bubble and the cap staying flat.
Yeah. Well, law of averages, maybe it's their turn for Florida to chase them. They had to for years. So I just feel like they use the regular season just to make the playoffs and then roll the dice,
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think, but the Lightning kind of were that way too after they won a couple.
I know.
Like there were spans in that year they went against Colorado, and then the year after where it was like
let's not exert ourselves in the regular too season. Much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If nothing else, mentally, the off season was so short.
Right.
I think a lot of it's more mental than physical. The guys are in such great physical shape. It's more mental.
Right. Well, it wasn't a short off season this year.
No, but but Florida, they're kind of going through the motions
incredibly
at times
short. Yeah,
they've had 3 straight short off seasons, so much like the Lightning
It's got to catch up to them, don't you think? At some point.
Yeah, well, and we saw them lose 5 in a row earlier this season already.
True, that's true. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the crack in the foundation.
And they have some injuries and stuff. Do I think Florida's going to make the playoffs? Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the interesting thing is there's a lot of the Montreals and Detroits are playing really well right now, and so. Does one or two of these teams, and the Atlantic Division has kind of been the same top 4 for a while. Last year, Ottawa kind of replaced Boston, Boston's pretty bad, but but Toronto, Florida, Tampa have been atop the Atlantic Division for nearly a decade at this point.
Right?
Does a Montreal hold on, or a Detroit, or to kind of overtake some of those teams will be interesting, but. I'm not sure they're all there yet.
In Detroit, right? So
they're off to a great start. So is Montreal. So is Marty St. Louis in Montreal.
Marty, yeah, it's great. Yeah, I guess their demise has been a little premature, perhaps by me and others, but they just got to. I hate the way they do the playoffs. I hate that they're playing the best team in hockey every year and vice versa. That there's not seeding that goes.
But the other part of this is last year had the Lightning, beaten Toronto late in the season, they would have been the 1 seed in the division and played Ottawa instead. If they would have finished first in the division, Toronto did. So if they would have finished first, they wouldn't have faced Florida.
No, Miami earned it, and you've got to go out there and do exactly that.
Yeah,
maybe more than ever if they're going to win it.
Lightning won another game or two, they would have been the 1 seed and played Ottawa.
There you go.
So you can blame the seeding, but it is what it is. So if you would have taken care of business and won another game or two,
so you don't have to blame anybody but yourself. Yeah.
Yep. So
totally agree.
We're only 10, 11, 12 games into the season now for most teams. So, by the time you get to Thanksgiving, you kind of get a better feel for what teams are.
Right. No, it's awfully early. If we'd evaluated this team like we tried a week ago, it'd be like, holy cow, they're not going to win a game.
Yeah.
And now they're boom at hockey 500 or whatever.
Yep.
So they got it rolling. All right. Well, listen, get on down to Breitling Boutique. Please go see our friends there. They got the best watches in the world, Swiss watches from the Breitling company. It's been in business for over 140 years. Check out the Navitiners, the Chronomats, ladies' watches, sports watches for your wife, your girlfriend. And while supplies last, the NFL watches as well, 32 different team watches. You're going to want these. These are collector's items. It's the best watch you will ever own. It is Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. Please let them know you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay.